Why do some people having the same circumstances attract opportunities, money, and relationships while others spend their whole lives chasing success and never catch up to it? How is it that two people can start from the same point, but one builds an empire and the other only comes up with excuses? And most importantly, how can you change this in your own life? In this video, I will share with you one philosophy that not only turned my world upside down, but also helped thousands of people change the direction of their lives forever. But I warn you, this is not an easy path. It is a path of inner growth. And if you watch until the end, I will share with you specific actions that I started doing myself when I was absolutely nobody. And those very actions became the turning point of my entire life. Have you ever noticed how paradoxically life is arranged? People work overtime for years, become victims of stress, struggle with debt, postpone their dreams, all for the sake of having more. But here's the irony. The more they chase success, the further it moves away from them. And then someone else, seemingly with nothing, no connections, no money, no higher education, suddenly becomes the person everyone calls successful. How is that possible? That was the question I asked myself when I was 25. Just a few cents in my pocket. Nothing in the bank, even less in my mind. I didn't care what success meant in theory. I just wanted to pay the bills, not feel ashamed when I looked at my family, and honestly, to believe that something in life could change. And then I heard one sentence that at first made me furious, but later turned me into a new person. My mentor, Earl Schoff, looked me straight in the eyes and said, "You have already attracted everything you have in your life. If you want more, become the person who can attract it." At first, I wanted to argue. I wanted to prove that the economy was to blame, or the politicians, or the circumstances, or the company I worked for. But deep down, I realized it wasn't them. It was me. And that was my first lesson about personal value. It turned out that success is not something you chase. You don't force it. You don't beg for it. You attract it. And not with money, not with status, not with yelling or manipulation. You attract it with personal value. Because that is what acts like a magnet. And the stronger your magnet, the more comes into your life. More opportunities, more money, better people, higher quality relationships, more influence, more peace. But here's the paradox. Personal value can't be bought. It can't be borrowed. You can't just wear it like a suit. It must be created within. And now I want to ask you, not as a speaker, but as someone who once woke up with not a penny in their pocket, who are you becoming right now? What kind of magnet are you building within yourself today? Because everything you have now is not a coincidence. It's the result of who you've become. And if you're not satisfied with that result, it's not the map you need to change, not the rules of the game, but yourself. Now pause for a moment and just imagine, what if I told you that in just 90 days you could completely change your inner magnet? That you could start from zero, no money, no connections, no guarantees, but with a real awareness of your value, with actions that increase it day by day. Imagine what your day would look like if you were the kind of person that success doesn't avoid but seeks out. It's possible, but not easy, because instead of blaming others, you'll have to look honestly in the mirror. Instead of dreaming, you'll have to act. Instead of hoping, you'll have to build. And here's what I promise you. If you watch this video until the end, I'll show you not just inspiration. I'll give you a practical formula that I myself used to get out of debt, build a business, change my philosophy, my attitude, my life. A formula that only works for those who are ready to work on themselves more than on anything else. But first, we need to figure out something very important. Why most people never make it all the way down this path. Why, even after hearing the truth, they remain the same. And most importantly, how to make sure that this isn't about you. This video, it's not about motivation. These aren't sweet words. This is a challenge. This is a path, and we start it right now. When I first heard Earl Schoff say the phrase, "work harder on yourself than you do on your job," I didn't understand it. To be honest, I was even a little offended, because at that time I was working hard. My days were packed, I came to work early, left late, and didn't complain, but all I had was an empty wallet, debts, and promises I couldn't keep. And then he added, "If you work only on your job, you'll make a living. But if you work on yourself, you'll make a fortune." And that's when something clicked. For the first time in my life, I began asking myself the question, who am I becoming? Not what am I doing, not how much am I earning, but who am I becoming? Because the truth is, success never comes to those who desperately chase it. Success is like a shadow. You chase it, it moves away. You stop, turn inward, begin to grow, and suddenly the shadow becomes yours. Suddenly success starts to follow you. Suddenly new opportunities show up, the ones you never even asked for. People you didn't know, chances you never dared to dream of, but they appear because you've changed. Let me ask you, what are you attracting into your life right now? Honestly, if you look at your finances, your environment, your energy level, the goals that are being achieved or not, none of that is by chance. It's a mirror. And as painful as it is to admit, that very truth holds the power to change everything. Success is attracted by the quality of our character. And character, it's not an abstraction, it's specific things. It's your discipline. It's how you handle your time. It's your ability to keep your word even when no one's watching. It's the thoughts you cultivate the moment you wake up. It's the books you read or ignore. It's how you respond to failure. It's your ability not just to speak, but to follow through. That's your magnet. I've known people who had great intentions. They promised themselves they'd start a new venture, change their lives, become better. But years passed, and they were still in the same place. Not because they didn't want to change, but because they didn't change. Because success doesn't come to the one who simply wants. It comes to the one who becomes someone else. A man once told me if I had more money, I'd be a better person. But I replied, no, it's the other way around. Become a better person, and the money will find you. Success is not something you buy. It's something you attract. It's like an invisible field around you. Some people's field is weak. No one calls them. No one wants to work with them. They get overlooked. And some have a field so strong, opportunities find them on their own. It's not magic. It's the energy of personal value. There was a moment in my life when I asked myself one simple question. Am I the kind of person who can attract the life I dream of? And the answer was no. But that wasn't a tragedy. That became a plan. Because if I wasn't yet, that meant I could become. And that's where transformation begins. My friend, the fact that you're watching this video, that's already a signal that you're ready, not just to listen, but to change. But I warn you, it won't be comfortable. Because to become a new person, you have to let go of the old one. You have to start acting like the person you want to become, not the person you've been used to being. That means stop living on autopilot. That means becoming stronger every day, even if no one sees it. That means putting coins in the bank, even when it seems like they won't change anything. Because the one who can't save a cent won't save $1. And the one who doesn't read a page won't finish the book. And the one who can't get himself up at 6 a.m. won't lift a company, a family, or even himself. But here's what I'll tell you, this works. If you focus daily on increasing your personal value, change is inevitable. First on the inside, then on the outside, but it will come. New people will come. New thoughts will come. A new level of confidence will come. And success will come not because you chased it, but because you became the person it's looking for. And one more thought and anchor. Listen carefully. You've already attracted the life you have. And that's great news. Because if you could attract this, you can attract anything. By changing yourself. But that's not all. Next, I'll show you the specific steps I took to start changing my personal value. You'll be surprised at how simple they are. But don't rush ahead. We'll talk about the second side of the magnet. Not just inner growth, but the environment which either empowers you or destroys you. Stay tuned. Because what comes next is the key to sustaining your results. Because becoming someone new is only the first step. Staying at that level, that's where the real challenge begins. Here's the truth, my friend. You can change. You can build a new philosophy, form different habits, learn new skills, shift your attitude. You can become the person success is looking for. But that still doesn't guarantee you'll sustain that transformation. Because there's another factor most people don't think about, and that factor is your environment. Have you ever noticed how strongly the people around you influence you? You walk into a room where everyone's relaxed, lazy, indifferent, and suddenly your energy disappears. But get into a circle of people who are moving, creating, taking action, and suddenly you feel energized. It's not magic. It's the effect of the environment. Your magnet may be strong, but if you're submerged in a swamp, it will only pull in mud. I realized this the day I looked at my surroundings and asked myself, is there anyone here I actually want to become? And the answer was no. They weren't bad people. Their focus just wasn't there. They were living whatever lives, no goals, no plans, no philosophy, and I knew I couldn't grow in an environment that didn't support growth. So I started changing my circle. First my inner circle, through books, through audio recordings. I adopted new mentors through their thoughts, words, stories, and only then the external circle. I began finding people who thought differently. I wasn't looking for wealthy people, I was looking for valuable ones. The ones who took action, the ones who could listen, the ones who were developing themselves. And you know what? I started attracting those kinds of people when I started becoming one of them. Because you'll never build a palace in a swamp. You can have the best blueprint, but if the soil is wrong, everything collapses. It's the same with life. You can have the best intentions, but if your environment is full of procrastination, complaints, empty talk, it will drag you down. And the first thing you need to do is get out of the swamp. Now let's go deeper. You might have a new environment, a new philosophy, but if your habits stay the same, the result won't change. Because habits are autopilot. Their internal roots, our thoughts, actions, and decisions follow. One of the first steps I took was starting a new morning habit. Every morning I spent 15 minutes reading. It wasn't just information, it was a new focus for my mind. Then journaling. I began writing down who I wanted to become, what I was doing today to increase my value. Next, physical exercise. Nothing big but consistent. Why? Because your body is part of your energy, and energy is part of your magnet. My friend, habits are the bricks of your identity. And the question isn't whether you have habits. The question is, what kind of habits do you have? Do they support who you want to become, or do they sabotage it? Try asking yourself right now, what are 3 things I do daily that increase my personal value? And then, what 3 things lower it? Because if your habit is to scroll the news for 40 minutes after waking up, you've already lost the morning. And how the morning goes, so goes the day. And how the day goes, so goes life. That's not an exaggeration. Small things determine big outcomes. And one more thing. Let me draw your attention to the power of focus. The world screams at us every day. Look here. Listen to this. Don't miss this headline. But when you focus on everything, you focus on nothing. Successful people aren't the ones who are always busy. They're the ones who focus. They choose what to think about, what to act on, what to give their attention to. Because attention is currency. It's your main asset. And if you don't invest it consciously, it will be stolen. My mentor used to say, make a list of 6 things that will increase your value today, and don't go to bed until you've done at least 3. Sounds simple, but it turns chaos into clarity. So, environment, habits, focus. And one more thing, choice. Because every day is a series of small choices. Get up or hit snooze. Read a page or scroll the feed. Take a step or postpone it. And every choice is a brick in the building of your personal value. The only question is, what kind of life are you building with those bricks? I know sometimes it feels like one choice won't change anything, but I assure you it will. Because every choice creates a pattern. And patterns shape destiny. Let me put it even simpler. If you choose what's easy every day, you become weaker. If you choose growth every day, you become stronger. And here you are at this point, and maybe you've already started thinking about your own mistakes, your own swamp, your old habits. That's okay, because you're still here. You're still listening. You can still take the wheel. And next, we're going even deeper. Because if you think personal value is just knowledge or discipline, you're not seeing the whole picture. There's another level. And it's about how you treat yourself and the promises you make to yourself. And that's what the third block is about. Stick around. Because in it, I'll show you how to restore trust in yourself if you've lost it. How to become not just effective, but unshakable. And how to finally feel worthy of what you're attracting. One of the most painful realizations in my life wasn't about money or career. It was about the fact that I stopped believing in myself. I would wake up in the morning, make myself a promise to change something, and not follow through. I'd promise to read, to write, to make that call, to start, and then I'd push it back. Day after day, week after week, and with every broken promise, something inside me broke a little more. You know what that was? Lost trust. Not in others, in myself. And then one night, I sat in a dark room with one lamp and the wall across from me, my own journal, empty pages, months of silence, plans left unfinished, goals without action. And for the first time, I didn't make excuses. I just admitted, Jim, you don't trust yourself anymore. You've become someone who talks but doesn't act. It hurt, but it was the beginning of healing, because you can't build anything if the foundation is cracked. And from that moment on, I began the most important work of my life, restoring my inner integrity. Integrity isn't about being perfect, it's about alignment. That what you think, say, and do are the same. It's like tuning a guitar. One off note and the whole melody suffers. But when the strings are in tune, even a simple song sounds deep. My friend, let me ask you, are your strings in tune? You say you want change, but is every step you're taking today aligned with that desire? You say you're aiming for success, but is there discipline in your day? Here's what I've learned. Self-discipline isn't punishment. It's an act of self-love. It's when you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. And not to prove anything to anyone, but to reconnect with your true self. When I started keeping simple, small promises, waking up on time, journaling, not saying things I wouldn't do, I felt peace. Not triumph, just peace. A silence that said, I can trust myself again. And here's what happened next. Other people began respecting my word. Clients started trusting me. People began listening not just to my ideas, but to my example. Why? Because integrity is a power you can't fake. Here's one of the most important principles I've ever heard. Don't let yourself become someone you no longer believe in. Because losing trust in yourself, that's the beginning of the end. It's what drains your energy. It's why you lose faith in your goals. Because it's like you signed a contract with yourself and then tore it up. But here's the good news. Trust can be rebuilt, just like you lost it, in small steps. Not in loud declarations, not in motivational speeches, but in simple actions. One day, one promise. And if you keep it, tomorrow gets a little easier, and the day after a little better, and one day you'll wake up and feel, I trust myself again. I'm worthy of growth again. Because look, my friend, success doesn't come to the most talented. It comes to the most consistent. You can have ideas, dreams, vision, but without action, it's all just illusion. And now let me ask you one more question. Are there moments in your day that create pride in yourself? Not for others, for you. When I started building those moments, small completed tasks, fulfilled promises, even just a few lines in my journal, I noticed my magnet was growing. People can feel when you're in harmony with yourself. Success feels it. It's drawn not to noise, but to stability. And stability is discipline, not as a burden, but as the roots that hold you when the winds come. And now, at this point in our journey, it's time for the big question. Not to me, to you. Who are you becoming right now? When no one's watching, when the camera's off, when the day ends. Do you go to bed with the feeling that you've increased your value today? Or did you allow yourself one more delay? Because in the end, it comes down to this. We don't get in life what we want. We get what we've become. And now we've reached the threshold of the practical. Because you can listen for hours, but it's application that creates results. And in the next section, I'll give you 5 deep questions you should ask yourself right now if you truly want not just to change your situation, but to change yourself. It won't be just a questionnaire. It will be a mirror. But before you look into it, let me tell you one thing. The fact that you've made it this far, that's already a victory. That's already a choice. That's already the beginning of a new course. But now comes the defining step, an honest conversation with yourself. And it's in the next block. Stay tuned. That's where true transformation begins. Well, my friend, we've been on a deep journey together, from the pursuit of success to the magnet of personal value, from external circumstances to internal responsibility, from promises to discipline. But now comes the moment when everything we've discussed needs to be turned into a mirror, into you, into your story, into your answers. You don't need to pause the video, just think, feel, notice what moves inside you with each question, because that is your answer. And remember, don't judge yourself harshly. But do be honest, this isn't a test, it's a starting point. First question, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much can you trust yourself right now? 1, I don't believe my own promises. 10, I consistently do what I say. Ask yourself this, because self-trust, my friend, is the root. If the root is rotten, the tree won't last. But if you strengthen the root, growth is inevitable. Second question, from 1 to 10, how much does your daily environment support you? 1, my environment drains me. 10, my environment charges me, lifts me, keeps me focused. Look around, not just at people, but at your space. What's on your walls? What's on your phone? What do you hear every day? Are you growing or rotting in place? Third, how much do you increase your personal value every day, even by 1%? From 1 to 10. 1, I live without a system. 10, I have growth rituals, reading, journaling, action, because life doesn't change in one day. But it changes through a series of 1% efforts. 1 new thought, 1 new choice, 1 completed task. Fourth question, from 1 to 10, how clear is your philosophy? 1, I act chaotically. 10, I have a system, principles, I know why. Because philosophy is like a map in a dark city. Without it, you either get lost or go in circles. But with it, even if unsure, you move forward. Fifth, the sharpest one. How much do you feel that you're currently living at the level of your potential value? 1, I'm hiding, hesitating, afraid. 10, I'm in flow, in action, in the freedom of choice. This is the mirror no one likes to look into, but it's the most real, because no one but you knows who you could become, and you and only you can get there. Think, pause, feel, don't pressure yourself, just be honest. And here's my small suggestion. After this video, return to these 5 questions again, but this time with a pen and a journal page. Don't just write down the numbers, write what's behind them, and watch how these answers shift after just a week of daily work on yourself. You know, I've often said at seminars, a simple question asked at the right time can move a life. And I hope at least one of these 5 did just that for you. And now allow me to speak to you directly for a moment. If you've listened this far, you're not just a viewer, you're a seeker, someone ready to do the work. Someone who feels there's more inside them than in their current circumstances. And I want to ask you for 3 things, not for me, but to anchor this state within yourself. First, subscribe. This is your declaration. I continue to grow. It's like a quiet signature on your internal contract. Second, hit the like button, not just as a gesture, but as an anchor, a signal to your brain. This matters. This is worth keeping. And third, write in the comments, which of the 5 questions touched you the most? Don't write it for the algorithm, write it for you. Because when we put answers into words, they begin to work. And one more thing, if this video brought value to you, share it. Maybe someone close to you has also lost trust in themselves. Maybe they too need a reset. Become the magnet that attracts not only success, but transformation in others. Because by changing yourself, you've already started changing the world. My mentor once told me, don't wish for an easier life, strive to become stronger. And I never forgot that, because life isn't obligated to be easy, but it's always willing to give more to the one who becomes more. That's why you and I weren't talking about quick success strategies or the secrets of wealth. We were talking about who you're becoming, because you are the main strategy, the main power, the main investment. Everything you want to attract into your life is already waiting, but it won't come to the one who isn't ready. It won't come to the one who only dreams. It will come to the one who becomes the person who can hold it, multiply it, pass it on. So here's my challenge to you, not just to start a new habit, not just to write down a new goal, but to become a new person, a person who keeps their word, who leads themselves instead of chasing others, a person who doesn't beg, but attracts. Not because of status, not because of position, but because of the quality of their presence. Because success isn't an event, it's a result. It's the reward for who you became when no one was watching you work. It's a gift to the one who builds themselves every day, quietly, with focus, with honesty. So let me repeat one last time. Work harder on yourself than on anything else, because when you change, everything around you changes. And when your value rises, life feels it. Now, it's all in your hands. Don't wait for Monday. Don't ask for permission. Just start becoming who you're truly capable of being, and watch how the world begins to be drawn to you. That is real success. And maybe today is its beginning.